That also leads to another question for me is we often have the situation where when the media wants to write a story or on home education, they always try to show both sides. Okay, home education's got lots of benefits, but there are also a number of disadvantages that you have to take into account. And then they often uh, interview a psychologist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And these psychologists usually know nothing about home education, but they've got lots of opinions about it.
Hmm.
And one of the things that these psychologists often say is that parents often struggle. On the one side, they must be a parent, and on the other side, they must be a teacher, and there's often a conflict between these things, and that is then described as a problem of home
Yes.
education.
Yeah,
What's your opinion about that?
Bowie, I've heard this. I've heard this claim for over 30 years. First of all, it's a false dichotomy. Let's again think back whether a person is an evolutionist and thinks that somehow human beings, Homo sapiens, emerged from a primate, ape-like creature millions of years ago, or whether a person thinks that human beings appeared as human beings maybe thousands of years ago. It doesn't matter which. Parents have always been teachers. That's what they are. If we look at from either perspective, parents teach their offspring. That is a core function. It is a basic function of being a Homo sapiens parent. So it's a false dichotomy, first of all. Second of all, I think these psychologists forget history, and they forget that home-based education has actually been the norm for most of written history on human beings. And institutional schooling, especially institutional schooling with government certified teachers, is a little blip in history. If we look at the United States, it's a little blip in history. If we look at South Africa or Europe, it's a blip in history. So these psychologists are ignoring thousands of years of human history, and they come up with this false dichotomy. Maybe the reason that they have this dichotomy in their heads is that that's what they experienced growing up in institutional schools. The certified teacher was the expert and knows way more than mom and dad do. And the certified teacher is the one you're supposed to obey and respect for 6 hours per day. And then when you're coming home and you run into mom and dad, it's a whole different world. And maybe they're only in charge of your diet when you're home and which TV shows you watch when you're home. So now there's this false dichotomy about what is the role and the function and the sphere of influence of a parent versus a government certified teacher. I really believe it's a false dichotomy. And if people go along with that idea and they think that, 6, 7 hours per day, a child is supposed to honor and obey the government certified teacher, and then other parts of the week he's supposed to honor and obey and respect only the parents, yes, you could come up with a conflict in your mind about what those two roles are. But when people home educate or they never put their children in public school or private school, it's a very smooth, regular, normal, natural transition, and most people don't really think about it that much.
Okay, thank you.